Yo, peace, cousins. This is your cousin Papote here, just laying back, man. Just, trying to recover, which I did. So back to work. Woo! In any case, cousins, the reason I make this little rant, this is basically for the cousinhood that's, we doing our show like everybody knows and stuff like that. But, I wanted to hit up on some stuff that came up. And basically, it's on, the Taino narrative of our culture. Like, you know what I mean? We got informations, we got what they call revisionist informations, and and presentations to make under a lot of different paradigms, but by no means was it my intent to attack the raciality of Boricuas or Puerto Ricans being native. As a matter of fact, what people are going to discover after, our event is, in fact, how native they are. In spite of other groups and how they express or feel what native is. You dig what I mean? I have, I have other intentions. I don't want to mock any other people that call themselves Tainos or anything like that, because for years this is the science that they had to deal with. I mean, think about it. We right here with the internet and all that stuff, we have at our disposal a hell of a lot more information than a lot of these people that have been working before internet. So, man, you got to give people credit for going to school, for having the interest of knowledge of self. And when they reached out to knowledge of self, they immediately gravitated towards the native paradigm, which is all cool. Black is red. Red is black. Red, to me, is all red. Everything from purple to pink are forms of red. Light red and dark red. You know what I mean? You can't really say that about the other color schemes like that. You know what I'm saying? People just could make it up. You can make up what you want. You can make a new one up. You could say, that, oh man, you can say whatever you want, bro. The fact is that we all red. You dig what I mean? And it's quite apparent. You look behind me, my bureau's brown, but it's a shade of red. You know what I mean? And I'm red, shade of red. And then you got, it is what it is. Purple is a shade of red. In any case, everybody got their own way of looking at it, and I ain't gonna knock a dude down. You know what I mean? Dude come up to me, be like, yo, what's up, Papote? Yo, we black. I'm gonna go, yeah, you're right, because we are. You know what I mean? And the same dude is gonna come up to me and say, yo, Papote, yo, we native, bro. We Taino. And under the concept of what he believes the word is, which is the native self, he's right. The only argument that Papote was presenting, like I've said over and over again, was 1492, the Exodus, the Mosaic Exodus, and 1942. Those are the areas I deal with. Now, as far as Tainoism or whatever, I don't like, me personally, and I'm speaking only for myself so everybody could be clear with me, okay? I don't like to go out there and tell somebody that they wrong about something with the intentions of circumventing what they had going, as far as the science is concerned. So for people who are out there reaching out to their science native self, archaeology, you know what I mean, linguistics, food, habits, the culture, to show how very native Boricuas are, most of them, you know what I mean? And when I say most, I mean 90%. So it's if it's in that interest to find out how native you are and all that, yeah, man, that's what's up. That's within my mentality. That's what's good. But my thing is that as I try to delve deeper into, that groupage or my people, I saw that what it was doing is becoming separate people. You know what I mean? It's not to say, they're not saying no more Boricuas are native. What they are saying is that they're native as opposed to other Boricuas. All right. Now, compounded on top of that, they try to present a native phenotype. Okay. And just because they look a little red or they look a little tan or they look a little whatever, they're trying to say that that person is more native than a person that's a little whiter or that's a little bit more African looking. And, they're using a certain study provided by Cruzado. And I am going to show with the same graph that Cruzado provided that in fact they're not 100% correct in how they're presenting this information, and that there's a lot of totally black African native cousins out there, and there's also Jew-ass looking motherfucking native cousins out there, and then you have a lot of the native looking in everybody. And how that happened is just by observing the history, the same history that they're providing as far as what happened with certain caciques and what happened with certain nobilities in Puerto Rico, compounded with wars and how in effect people were obtaining their soldiers, how the Spanish, French people were obtaining their soldiers on the island. With that, it tells you a lot. And I just thought that when people reach into their native self in a Boricua way, that they would do it to show inclusivity of everybody and not try to be this fucking Nuremberg ass exclusivity Nazi type shit. Another thing I didn't appreciate was, people that just are exhibitionists, that are fundamentally atheists, okay? And to me, that's like a disrespect, especially when you're not doing things correct. You're not, because it's obvious, and it's for obvious reasons. Like, for instance, the word Taino. Linguistically, it's inappropriate. It's not right. For the same reasons you would ask a Dominican or a Puerto Rican or a Cuban not to no longer consider himself that and to say that he's native, I think that it's incumbent and imperative on us to be as correct as we can and understand that it's a malleable thing and that we're going to make discoveries in the future. And if you're going to tell them to incorporate a name of themselves, do it right. Taina. N-A, Taina, that is inapplicable. You can't feminize a Taino word in the same manner that the European Germanic languages feminize a word. Or even the Sephardic languages, or Ladino, whatever, to say that they feminize a word using a or a O, niña, niño, you know what I mean? Natives didn't do that. Natives didn't feminize the word. Now, what I'm told is that Taino, as far as that is a correct word as the self-descript of Boricuas. I don't feel that's right and exact, and I'm not trying to say that the people that are calling themselves Taino grouping up, I'm not saying that they did that intentionally. As a matter of fact, I've seen them correct it. The same people that have had disputes with me on Facebook, in person, in other dialogue, to say that they disputed the fact with me, but yet we have scholars that are standing in front of some of these same people letting them know that is not our self-descript. And I didn't hear no arguments there. I've seen interviews where the word Boricua was used in the early 1900s, late 1800s, to say that it existed way before Boricuas in New York were accused of, birthing the word. It is said that Boricua, the word, was born in New York. You know what I mean? But meanwhile, we have scholars that could present different. So, what are we doing? We're learning about self. Okay, we're learning about self. And, as far as ritual is concerned with the native customs, I admire a lot of the people and how they are so interested in recapturing the way the natives went about doing their daily things, and they want to express that every day. Unfortunately, what they leave out is the celestial sky and the observations of the sun cycle and the observation of the whole celestial cycle. So to say that, you see these Tainos, you see these cousins out there, and they're observing Easter, and they don't understand that under their paradigm, what they're telling us to do with the spirituality requires them to make these celestial observations for what they were, okay, and to understand what it is, the north, east, west, and south, and to see how those symbologies were incorporated into our native elements, or or our native, or what they call that, the stuff in the museum, artifacts. You digging it? I feel that a lot of us that feel that we are spiritual and stuff like that should get a chance to actually see these artifacts closer, a lot closer than we're allowed sometimes, and try to get a feel for the usages of these things. Boricuas in general should always be natives first. They always. You know what I mean? I don't need to wear a feather in my hat or nothing like that to show. Okay, the only thing I will have to do to wear a feather in my hat or whatever is be involved with some sort of ceremony, and the ceremony should be exact and correct. So there should be 13 lunar cycles. There should be, things that are part of the logical, observable, celestial space-time that are incorporated into the things that we have learned about our native self, as well as there should be more knowledge onto the secret histories that ended up in Puerto Rico, because there was a lot of secret histories that went into Puerto Rico, and those things are important so that you can know who merged with who and for what reasons, and maybe these things are being observed. Maybe these celestial cycles and everything are being observed by peoples that are actually the ones that brought the knowledge and had the knowledge at that time. And we got a bunch of throwbacks trying to understand what's going on. Like, not to say that the natives are throwbacks, but to say, you know what I mean? We need to be serious about this native self, because that native self is what encourages people to be more nationalistic when it comes to being Puerto Rican. To be proud to be Boricua. We inherited that island from the ancestors. A lot of the people that came into Puerto Rico were by inheritance. Some families, some circumstances wasn't that, but there was mergers after that. We got to deal with who we are now, Boricuas, and yes, the native self has a huge factor to play on what it is to be a Boricua. Now, whether we have a right to thespianize that, to sell it, you know what I mean? That's another story. You know what I mean? Do we have a right to sexualize it? Okay, you know what I'm talking about? Is to me, it's grown into a ridiculous fucking sideshow act, and I would like people to take it serious, damn serious, your native self, because this is what began the process of this America, or of this white conquest into these states. This is where it began. You know what I mean? This is where it happened. And okay, so our island was washed out more than the hills of South America, let's say. So the hills of South America are less whitewashed than the island was, because of slavery and because of all these European expulsions and fucking all these European issues, or whatever the fuck happened over there, that they had to go through the islands. But nonetheless, remember, Puerto Rico didn't have that many roads until recently. Puerto Rico was a farm area, you know what I'm saying? So, even the big highways, these are recent things. It's easy for us to go there today and say, oh wow, look how easy it is to get to one side to the other. All those roads are harder to transverse and stuff like that. And there was a lot of isolated communities, but to say they were just isolated only under the native, just 100% pure native, is disingenuous. And I, for a fact, could show you black Boricuas that are from the black Jews, and they actually merge with their caciques, and he has the whole history of the whole breakdown on, what it is to be a Boricua in the black paradigm, and they are no less native than any other people that I've seen that are in fact Arab. that are in fact Arab, which is no diss, like, like part Jew or whatever, ain't no diss. You native too. But that's my whole point, that we can't really make it about a phenotype. We can't do that now. That's not what happened. That won't be true and exact. That won't be right and exact. That won't be true and correct. That won't be like, measuring twice and cutting once. That is not proper. That is not the reality of the situation. Okay? We are all native in one way or another. We have the remnants of that. One drip of native blood, under the right education, under the right, formulation of events and the right perspective, could show you how, it's the cure. Like, you dig what I mean? It's the cure for the racial plague. Like, you dig what I mean? How we handle this. I don't want to separate myself from no Taino community, but I can't really be in the Taino community because I'm not Taino. Like, you know what I mean? Taino is in Italy. Taino is in Italy, okay? And it was because of a Jewish expulsion and languages and mix-ups that we got stuck with the word Taino. Like, it's messed up because we could have been stuck with the word Baina. Like, you know what I mean? Look at the Baina people. Or Mira, or Mira. Like, you dig what I mean? We could have been the Mira people. I ain't joking around. And the words that I fished out of these libraries and glossaries are true. They're there. So if I say Borique, Bori, if I see all these things, these are words that I grabbed from the same libraries that were provided as Taino language and stuff like that. Like, you know what I mean? And the explanations that I'm getting for how they combine their words or what they're reading or what they're getting didn't satisfy me. I mean, Taino, like, so no pluralizes a word. So gua no. So no pluralizes a word. So what does gua mean then? You know what I mean? I mean, don't tell me that Guanica and all these other places like that, like, Aguacate, when I talk about these things with gua in it, that, guano. So guano, like, bat shit, like, you know what I mean? So no pluralizes the word. So guano, like, you know what I mean? I understand that I need to appreciate the fact that although a lot of the dudes out there are thespians and actors and stuff like that, or wannabes really, they are as qualified as anyone else to claim their native self. And, you got to give accolades to people that didn't have internet and all that shit, that they went out there and they got a lot of information that pertains to what it is to be a native from those islands. But, as it stands today, 2013, the remnants of those natives are upon all of us. That's grandma. You know what I mean? And grandma loved all her kids. Like, you dig what I mean? Grandma loved all her kids. Si come uno, come todo el mundo. Like, there's a lot of things that are said in Spanish that are actually native. There's a lot of things that are actually, African that are said that are native. But there's a lot of things that are native that is said to be African. And there are a lot of things that got to the islands through the Africans before 1492. So people have to be a little bit more, like, weary on where they're getting their information or what Boricametic's goal is. Boricametic's goal should not be to try to, like, be disrespectful to the native paradigm, okay? But, being that we were disrespected at one time, I could see why a couple of the members here feel that they could say whatever they want and just go out and start dissing things and stuff. We are a people that have fabric before Columbus. We are a people that did not sleep on the floor. Maybe on the other islands they did that. Our island, we were sleeping in hamacas. Okay? Boricuas had 20 caciques. There ain't no other island had as many or as organized a small civilization on those islands, but the Boriques, those that lived in Borinquen. Okay, so there's a lot to learn, and Boricametic's about gathering the cousinhood. So y'all that understand the science on what it is to be Taino or Borique, okay, please don't misunderstand, the intentions of Boricametics. is to be a little bit more inclusive and to actually, like, be that outside observer, but that's inside, and that could, like, help people out, because it's becoming a sideshow, and you're supposed to be including and attracting all the Boricuas up and down Fifth Avenue, and not as a sideshow. You dig what I'm saying? This got to be real. You are a part native. All right? This is what we are. Okay? But it can't be a mockery, and it can't become a racial isolationism or stuff like that. Because now we got Indians out there that are trying to say that they native and they from India, and they say they native from Borica. We got Sephardic Jews out there showing their phenotype to people that are uneducated, and you thinking that that's, more native to Borica than the black kid or the white kid. Like, that's disingenuous, man. Learn your history, and then you see how we all native. And read the graph like Papote is going to show you, and you might get a little different perspective on what it is. So, peace.